So anybody who is a bit iffy on spiders, I deeply apologise, but this is the Sonic update that everybody keeps asking me for. So I've had him, I think it's coming up nearly 2 months now, and he has been eating quite well, but the last couple of days I've kind of panicked because he hasn't been eating. He'll kill his prey, but he won't eat it. He just kind of pushes out of his nest and that he's done with it. So I woke up today and I thought he was dead because I just saw this thing all crumpled on the floor, and it wasn't. He's actually molted, so he's had his first molt, which is why he stopped eating. So at the minute he is extremely soft. He's a little bit like drowsy and he's not really wanting to do much, and he can't eat yet either because when they shed, they also shed their fangs. So at the minute his new fangs aren't hard enough to actually pierce anything, and it's quite dangerous because they can lose their fangs, they can snap them, and then if they can't eat, and then unfortunately starve to death. So at the minute he is just holed up under his new little hutch because he's found a new space that now he wants to be in. But he has actually grown quite big. I did spot him earlier on, and he has now got his orange little bum. His abdomen is now orange, and he has a couple of blue hairs, so he's now got his blue tinge, which is why we called him Sonic. And he's extremely fast. He hasn't changed. He's still extremely fast. I put his water in this morning and he flew around the cage trying to get out the road of the sprays of water. And I'm still a little bit like nervous. I'm feeding him. So I'm not very sturdy, holding camera in one hand and tweezers in the other. I'm like this. So yeah, so the next time I actually get any chance to get him fed and get some footage, I will pop it in somewhere.
So can you explain why they shed and how often that they shed, Stuart?
So the main reason they shed is because their body, they grow inside their exoskeleton. So their outer body obviously will only grow to a certain size. So what they actually do is they grow inside of that shell, and then they have to push their way out of the shell. So the shell won't grow any bigger. Once they've done growing inside of it, they kind of have to explode from the outside. Yes, so it's kind of like aliens. So they push themselves out of their old skeleton, and they kind of like push everything out. It's quite good though, because when they do that, that's when they get like the really bright colours, and you see them for the first time because they tend to go quite dark just before they molt, because obviously the outside of their skin is dying. They're just shedding their old skin off, like a butterfly coming out to a new one.
So how big is he now, and how big will he grow to?
So it depends. So males grow a lot smaller than females, and they don't last as long. So males can go up to 3 inches. He is just a dwarf, so that is the whole thing. That was the main reason I got him, so that he doesn't grow humongous. If he is a female, then it'll grow to about 4 inches, and they last about 14 years if it's a female, only 2 years if it's a male. So we won't know for a while yet until he is quite bigger whether or not he's male or female. Anything else, Andrew, you want to ask me?
Yeah, how are you going to know whether it's male or female?
So on the back of the abdomen, they actually have a set of, it's kind of like markings on the back. So they have 4 sets, so there's 2 either side. And then they do actually have a line. So between these 2 spots, if the line is straight, I think it's a female. And if it's got a little bobbly bit, like a little U halfway between the line, then it's a male. But it was quite hard to see when they're still only slings or when they're still juveniles. So a lot of people will kind of, once they've got their shed, as long as it's a clean shed, because sometimes they don't have a clean shed, they kind of rip bits off left, right and centre. You've got to kind of keep the abdomen bit and have a look under a microscope.
So we had some fun and games, didn't we, a couple of weeks back when he escaped. What have you done so that he can't get out of his box?
So I was so it's quite difficult to find. Anybody who keeps tarantulas will know exactly what I'm on about, but because it's a dwarf species and because it's a sling, they are extremely small, extremely fast, and can squeeze through pretty much anything. There is quite a few different places that you can get enclosures from. I just got mine off Amazon. The first one I got was too tall because he is semi-arboreal, so we just like to kind of like bury a little bit, but also like to web up. He's a webbing spider, so he will web his whole entire enclosure, so it will just be completely covered in webs. So the first one I got wasn't perfect for him, so I bought a new one where it was more flat but wider. The problem I've got is because they're made out of acrylic, the actual edges of the lid are bowed, so I keep having to turn the lid because it does bow. So that leaves gaps either side. So what I've had to do is I've had to sellotape them down. So all I'm doing is just put bit of weight and sellotaping it and put a candle. I'm not blocking any of his air holes. He's got a lot of ventilation in there, so that he's obviously still getting plenty of air and airflow in his terrarium. But I just had to kind of make sure that he didn't escape again, because catching him, I'm lucky. He's escaped twice, and both times I've actually managed to be able to get hold of him. He hasn't gone far. But my worry is that where we've got him is in our bedroom, and where he is it's wooden floors. It's the original floorboards, and there's quite big gaps, and I'm worried that if he does actually escape and get down from the bookshelf, which he did actually climb down the back the first time, we're looking if Andrew spotted him, but if he actually manages to get onto the floor, that's it, he's gone. So I'm not going to find him for a couple of months until he's too big and this monstrous thing comes chasing after me.
The enclosure, is that for life, or is it going to be, have you got to replace that and get a bigger one?
It depends on the size of him. So if it is a female, which I'm kind of hoping it is, that's kind of like the golden thing, everybody wants a female because they last for like another 10 years compared to a male. They grow a lot bigger, and apparently they're a little less aggressive. So I'm kind of hoping it is a female. If it is a female, I will want to replace it because it's me, and I want something that I know is secure. I know there's a couple of main brands out there. There's Tarantula Cribs. There is a few on Amazon. I don't want to start rehousing Sonic until he is big enough, or until he's starting to outgrow the enclosure he's in, because by all means of that, apparently I have actually got him in too big of an enclosure as it is. So it means I'm giving him some space, I'm letting him do his own thing. He is eating, he is drinking, and he is shedding, and he's webbing. So as long as he's doing them things, then he's okay. I know a lot of people tend to have them in a lot smaller cribs, but yeah, I'm quite happy with the one I've got, apart from the edges. So once he's had another molt, then he should be too big to be able to fit out the gaps. So fingers crossed that isn't too far off, maybe a month or two. I'm quite lucky because he is a Brazilian dwarf. Anybody who doesn't know, he's a Brazilian blue dwarf beauty tarantula. They grow quite fast, so he should be pretty mature within a couple of months. They take about 9 months to a year, and he's already maybe 3-4 months, so there isn't much time. So hoping in the next 6 months, by Christmas, he should be fully grown. That way I don't have to worry about him trying to sneak out the little gaps of his enclosure. Another thing I will tell you is he is not a fussy eater at all. He will pretty much eat anything apart from anything that wiggles. So he doesn't like mealworms, which is great because I only bought some yesterday. He doesn't like mealworms, and he doesn't like silkworms, but he loves flies and moths. So I've been running around the house. It's been great because it's been summer. Been running around the house catching flies for him and blue bottles to feed him them because he loves them. I'll try and see if I can get some footage of him without disturbing him too much, because he is currently eating. But he is just in the back there. Let's see if I can zoom in and see if I can get... There you go. And that is him in there, look. So he is currently just eating his breakfast, which is what you can see, which is the white. It's quite difficult to see because he is literally webbed up everywhere. But yeah, so that is him having his breakfast in there. And that was the Sonic update. We will keep you updated. I will let you know if I can manage to actually get some any footage. I might have to get Andrew to film him while I try and feed him, and see if Andrew can film it, see if he doesn't scream and back away when he's super fast.
Stuart and Andy. VanLife, the universe, and everything.